Good morning, everyone. We're going to give it just one more minute for everyone to get logged in, and then we will get started. Looks like a few people are signing in right now. We'll give it just a couple more seconds and then we'll get started. All right. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jessica Wirth from SimpleSoft Solutions, and welcome to our first webinar series of the new year. We took January off, so welcome back, everybody. As usual, this will be recorded and shared after the event. If you can't stay the whole time, or if you want to forward it to someone else in your company, I will get that out this afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started. All right, today you have myself that'll be going through some slides, and then we have Terry Unger, our project manager from SimpleSoft. A lot of you know her very well. She's going to go over some of these items and tips to handle them as well. All right, so today's agenda, I just did introductions. I'm going to go over some upcoming events. Then we're going to review these common CRM mistakes today. You are all going to stay on mute through this. So just send your questions to the chat box. I will hit them throughout if I can. If not, we'll get to them in the Q&A. And the goal is to not take up more than 45 minutes today. So I can unmute some of you as well at the end to talk through anything you want to talk through. All right, well, then we'll review some tips. Terry will go live in the CRM demo environment and show you some of the items we're covering. And as I mentioned, an open discussion. As usual, remember to follow us on our social media. SimpleSoft Solutions is where you can find us on all of these platforms here. We're always sharing how-to videos, latest updates. The blog also is a great resource to get familiar with. If you go to our website, simplesoft.net, again, all these links will be in the follow-up email too. But the blog is a good resource as well for common hangups, fixes, and how-tos. All right, upcoming events. In 2 weeks, we are partnering with Starfish. They are an integration partner of ours. A lot of you know about our Ion integration that integrates other Infor products. Starfish specializes in taking products outside of Infor, a big one being the HubSpot marketing platform, and integrating it with Infor CRM. So they're going to talk about that on that webinar. Then we're going to do in March, we're going to start off with an activity management, a follow-up from the one we did end of year last year. And we're going to talk about best practices for how to get started with an activity management process. And then stay tuned. We don't have an exact date, but the new release of 8.5 is coming. I have a couple of slides for a sneak peek for you guys on that. But stay tuned because there's a lot of really cool stuff they're releasing with that version. All right, so as you guys can see, we have Brandon here. He's a special guest. He is from Blue Street Capital, finance partner of ours. Welcome, Brandon.
Awesome, thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, he's going to talk a little bit about their company and how they partner with us. And if you guys have any questions, send them to the chat box. Go ahead, Brandon.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that great introduction, and I'll keep this nice and short and sweet for everybody. I know you guys have some exciting stuff to cover today. So getting right to it, we really appreciate the relationship that we've built out with SimpleSoft across the last couple years. So today, honestly, I just want to cover a quick little background of the company itself, myself, how I got here, what we're seeing now with COVID-related projects and companies who are looking to finance and honestly go over what can be financed. I think a lot of clients and companies, individuals don't understand that at this point, software is seen as just essential business collateral as the Dell desktop that's sitting in front of me helping me do this webinar right now. And then obviously, as Jessica alluded to, if anybody has any questions, feel free to shoot them into the chat box and I'd be happy to address those as well. In hopes of just providing some information and obviously sharing my contact with you guys if there are any questions later down the road or you guys are looking to utilize some type of finance option to, get the essential equipment and software that you need in hand to continue running business. So to give you a little background, I've been with Blue Street Capital for just about 2 years now. The organization started actually in 2005, really followed the Silicon Valley boom. A lot of companies were eaten up and purchasing IT, not only, again, alluding to hardware, building out data centers, servers, switches, things of that nature, but also support in the software realm as well. And we see, we're very accustomed to seeing Infor come across our quotes, items such as cloud services, Azure. We'll get into a little bit of Salesforce from time to time, but a lot of those, software that are deemed business essential, our credit and risk team look as just good as collateral as again, the keyboard and the mouse right in front of me. So IT financing specific to right now, we're seeing an uptick in requests around flexible payment terms with our vendor partners. Companies are coming in, cash is king. I think that honestly, if 2020 showed us anything, it's better to be safe than sorry. Unfortunately, we had a lot of companies, I want to say back in May, June, come to us and ask if they could finance projects that were already purchased, which we looked into supporting, but getting ahead and strategically budgeting for your clients is one value add that we can bring to the process as well. So if you guys are looking to sit down and kind of hash out how you can get your hands on this Infor equipment through Simplesoft, we're more than happy to do that. But we are seeing, I've worked with anywhere from publicly traded Fortune 500 companies to startups. So we have being a private company here in Southern California, where our main office is, we work across the US and also Canada. I've honestly been seeing a lot of different sizes of companies, types of companies selling to specific verticals. And not to say everyone's been super clean, but certain verticals have been hit harder than others. Our money is available, and we actually, I would say spent, but had one of our strongest quarters last year as a company through COVID in 2020. And again, moving into 2021, really seeing an uptick in requests for financing options, not only on hardware, but software projects as well, which leads me into, we get a lot of questions around that. How can software be financed? It's not like you can come pick it up and grab it, if payments stop. But again, it's essentially how important it is to your organization. If it's deemed business essential, it's something that we can look at. There might be some slight limitations to term length in regards to how long you're committing to the Infor subscription or software license, right? We can't overextend, if it's a 1-year license, I can't provide more than 1 year's or 12 monthly payments in that scenario. If it's a 3-year, it's something we can definitely look into. And we've actually helped a lot of companies save a decent chunk of money by extending terms, getting a discount on the subscription to the term over 3, 4, 5 years, and coming nowhere close to accruing the amount of interest you would by the savings that you have on that software subscription. So obviously, if companies are looking for the software and the hardware piece, we can take it on, we can jumble it into one schedule and look to make it an ease of payment for you guys and make sure you're paying on one schedule. But the software's there. We even do, I've seen a lot of services, data migration, consulting, training. We take on the soft costs such as shipping and tax, and really just try to add value and make sure that we're being a company that's supporting the need of clients. Obviously, at this point, I wanted to keep it true to my 5-minute window here so everything else can be addressed in your presentation, Jessica. But we are business as usual. I'd love to answer any questions that anybody has. And
yeah, we did get one here. So how would you apply / what's your process?
As far as process is concerned, what usually happens is the client sends over the quote for the project. I have enough information, usually on projects that are under $250,000, just based off public record, to see if we can go application only, which means we have credit resources off public knowledge that make us and our company and risk team comfortable with moving forward with that project and providing financing options. In certain situations where we don't feel like we have enough public information, I may need to request additional info from the client, such as 2 years of tax returns and internal financials as well. But quick, easy process. A lot of stuff can be done on the background, and our turnaround time, again, alluding to be a private company, I have access to our credit and risk team right across the room here. So if I have a question, I'm knocking on their door right away to make sure that the process is moving forward at all times as well. So
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. And then the last one I have is, can I finance other purchases with you?
The answer is yes, and that actually happens. It tends to happen pretty frequently. You know, we'll get into a conversation, or a company is looking at an in-force solution, and then, you know, just out of dialogue and meeting with that client and customer of yours, we're asking, are you guys purchasing anything else right now? Do you need any hardware? You know, we've gone even out to the point where companies buying a new building and needs to deck it out with furniture as well. So we do specialize in IT. We know the vertical, but we can add on projects that they might want to also lump into that financing option as well.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Let me just check here. Don't see any other questions. And as I said, everyone, I will definitely include Brandon's information.
Great.
Thank you so much for your time today, Brandon.
Yeah, Jessica, I'll let you guys get back to it. Again, if anybody has any general questions, has projects, feel free to, I know my information's on this slide and will be sent out to you guys. So I appreciate your time. I'll let you get back to it and have a great day.
All right, thanks. See you, Brandon.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye. All right, let's go ahead. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump in to the common mistakes portion. Terry, are you with us?
Of course.
All right, hey, how's it going?
Going great and ready to go.
All right, so I'll just kind of go over this, and feel free, like always, jump in with any input on the slide here. So we're going to kind of break it down into the different entities in in-force CRM and cover some of the common mistakes we hear. So we're going to start in the lead management. So big one, you guys hear us say this all the time, is having no process. It makes it hard to have accountability and to have user adoption without a process in any of parts of the CRM. So that's a big one. Not using lead sources, not checking for duplicates is another big one. The clicking convert twice. So when I look at the attendee list, I know I've answered this for several of you on the call. Salespeople, they're usually impatient. Don't tell them I said that. And so they click, click, click on that convert button. Well, what it's doing is, you'll notice in the top right, the little spinny wheel starts when you click convert the first time, because it's thinking, it's creating an opportunity, it's creating an account and a contact, and it's moving all the history over. So it takes a second, not long, but so if you keep clicking, when it catches up, it now can't find that lead you're trying to convert because it already converted it. So it will throw an error. And we see a lot of sales team members get frustrated at that. So just remember that as a tip, maybe to send out your company newsletter to your sales team on that, because it can help alleviate a lot of headaches. So the not checking for duplicates, like I said earlier, when you are clicking that convert process, there's a whole table that you should be training your team on above on how to utilize that to really help with your data integrity on the account contact side, to not create those duplicates, because you can merge, and you can still merge the contact lead source. So Jessica Wirt can have 3 different lead sources that I've come and purchased through. So you can track all of those. So merging all that together is important. And then the no timeline, again, that goes with the process. You don't want, again, like the last bullet is stale leads, right? You don't want all these leads sitting in there, because then they eventually don't become leads anymore. So kind of get together with marketing and make a plan on what you're going to do with those, and make your process. So, you know, a quick process we're showing here, a real high level, is, you know, have your sales team info gather, right? Get as much info on the lead as they can, and then qualify it, right? And then once they're qualified, convert. And you may even be converting a disqualified lead because maybe the product they came in for isn't right, or they bought with a competitor or whatever reason it is, but they could be good for later on. So you want to convert them, put those notes in, and then marketing can pick up with the process that they have on the contact side.
Yeah,
So these are all good things to talk through. Go ahead, Terry.
yeah, so I just wanted to say something. Sometimes when we say do this, do that, sometimes there's a gap in between. Okay, I want to do this, but how do I? So one of the things is the process, right? So there actually is within leads in the top right hand corner a qualification drop down. That drop down is something that you can create specific to your company, is a set of steps that you consider how they can qualify, what your company's requirements are to qualify a lead, so that the user, the salesperson knows that, hey, they do have a budget, I've got legitimate contact information, they have a project need, they have a need for this product, whatever your requirements are to say this is a legitimate lead. And you can actually set that up to be customized, and you can have just very quick set of steps with check boxes. And then as they check those off on a lead, once they get through that, that's when they hit that convert, and that's when they can utilize the duplication, moving that lead over into the account and contact, and then setting up an opportunity. So you actually can control that quite quickly. And so that's how you can set up actually having a process so they know.
Yeah, we can show that when we hop over too. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. All right, next up. All right, so here is some common mistakes we're seeing on the account contact management side. A big one is not organizing your data. And this could go for leads too, because you have status and territories over there too that you can assign. You want to keep it clean and usable, and you want to keep it segmented. So if any user logs in other than the admin and sees thousands of records that they will never do anything with, it's overwhelming and frustrating for that user. So think through and think about making teams and territories using that owner and account manager. I see a lot of customers only using the account manager field and not utilizing the team field. And Terry can show more of this and speak more of this about how you can give rights to certain owners and teams so that they can only see certain types of accounts or customers so that they can stay focused. Not knowing how to search properly is a big one. We get calls on it all the time. People saying they know it's in there. And this goes back to try to have a data steward, someone who owns the data and controls the rules in your CRM, meaning naming conventions, right? Someone might write A ampersand S, someone might write A and S equipment. And now, two different people see it that way, or there's an extra space. All those things create duplicates and messy data. So just maybe assigning one of your users or an admin to keep the database clean and keep those standards in place, and make sure to communicate them to other users so that they can find their data. Again, letting accounts go stagnant. Have a plan. If you have contacts in there that haven't had history or activities or any kind of touch on them, and whatever the time frame may be, say to you it's over 3 years, they're stagnant. So make a plan for what you're going to do with them. Are you going to leave them in your database? Do you want to reach back out, right? So that's always a good thing to look at. A process to update and confirm. So that will help you not get stagnant contacts, right? And then it goes into not moving contacts as the next bullet. So all those things to keep your database fresh and relevant and usable. So if you have a process in place that every once a quarter, you make everyone review their territory and make sure that Bob is still at ABC Equipment and that he didn't leave and go to a competitor and now he works there, right? So just moving contacts, because you can move them in the CRM and you can move history with them, so you can know that Bob just changed companies, but you still have all the other history of where you dealt with them before. So all important things. And then we see a lot of people not taking advantage of associating contacts and accounts, meaning a lot of our customers are manufacturers that sell through a distribution network that then sell to an end user of their product. You can associate all of those in the CRM. And you can also use a parent hierarchy for your distribution network. So if you have a master dealer that sells to sub dealers underneath, right? You can associate and use a hierarchy to keep all that data in one place. And with the hierarchy, you can even roll up and see all the opportunities that are open for that whole dealer network. And you can see all the contacts related and sales orders and invoices if you're connected to your ERP. So that's Terry can show that as well. Terry, anything to add on this slide?
No, I'll be definitely going over some that information to give you some tools to follow through on some of these issues.
Okay, let me check for questions real quick. I don't see any yet. All right, next slide. All right, some common mistakes with activity management. A lot of, again, if you don't have a process for this or expectations for your users, it can make it difficult to keep up on. But we see a lot of people not completing activities. So they may put notes in and they may actually do the activity or phone call, but they're not completing it, and that can cause performance issues. Not setting follow-up activities, meaning, especially if you're prospecting, so you call on a lead and you leave a voicemail and you record that call in the CRM, but then you don't set another follow-up. And there's a way that Terry can show to set that to where it automatically populates for you to set a next step so that you constantly remember, right, to keep up with your follow-ups on sales leads. And then also not rescheduling missed activities. So sometimes you put, your phone calls on and you get busy that day and then you leave them there and they just build and build overdue. So you should be making sure to reschedule those so that you get notified and you don't miss your follow-ups. Over on to ticket management. Same thing, not following up, not setting activities to follow up on your tickets that are open. Again, also, just like with everything, have a process, right? So that you're not missing these items. Be sure to close your tickets out and put the updated resolution in there so that all that data becomes useful and that you can create dashboards and information and groups with it so that if you have a lot of those common issues again, you can quickly go back and see exactly what you did last time. And then also not taking advantage of the speed search. I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with speed search, but you can actually search for documents. And then I believe, Terry, you could probably speak to this more, you can actually connect it to search within your network drive.
So you're talking about looking for the shared documents?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, so it will actually search within the body of a document. So if you had an email, had a PDF on it, you sent it to the customer, and then another customer comes up and says, hey, I need some information. And you're like, I remember having this document, but I don't remember where it's at. You can actually do a search in the speed search to look for that bit of information, text that's in that PDF, and it'll actually locate that document.
Oh, that's a great feature. All right, perfect. Any questions here? I don't see any. All right, we're going to move on. All right, so then here's just some kind of in general mistakes we see. Not knowing what you're trying to accomplish in the CRM. So a lot of people just dump all their contacts in and think of it as a virtual Rolodex, which it is for that some, just your general database of contact information. But to think a little bit beyond that, using forecasting in the new 8403 and up, 04 and up, they have a forecasting and quota tool they've added. So making sure you're utilizing that, tracking your marketing ROI. If you don't have an integrated marketing platform, we highly recommend that. Inbox Guru is a great one. It's designed specifically for Infor CRM, but you can integrate others. And then it really helps you successfully track the ROI because then you can track them all the way from when they came in as a lead with that lead source all the way through until they're a sales order. And you can see, how long did it take from lead conversion to sale. Having a sales funnel, using your opportunity management to have an accurate sales funnel of where potential opportunities are in that process. Again, there's out-of-the-box customizations that you can use to build a sales funnel specific to your company. Configured quotes, you can connect any type of CPQ tool. Infor has a great one to where you can be building configured quotes and using those in the CRM as well. Another mistake is not having regular trainings. a lot of you on this call have blocks of time that you purchase regularly. I always suggest earmarking 1 hour a month to have myself, Terry, John, any of us on with your team. Maybe it's different teams each month to just do refreshers, keep them up, because if you do that, the user adoption stays up and the frustration stays low, because 99.9% of the time, when they have something that's not working for them, it's just simply user error because they haven't been in this part of the CRM a lot, and we help them through it, and then they realize that it's a lot of help to their role. So make sure you're scheduling regular trainings. If you have a super user at your company, you absolutely be having that person give the trainings monthly. Entering phone numbers with dashes can create reporting problems. A lot of people aren't aware of that, so that's just a quick bullet. Keep up on your groups. Again, just data integrity, usable data. If you make an ad hoc group for some one-off list you sent 4 years ago, just remove it out. Keep them cleaned up. It helps with your database speed as well. Again, using data segmentation. This way you can make usable groups, especially for your outside sales team that use a mobile phone a lot. To be able to use the mobile phone quickly, it's really important to set up groups in the web client first so that they can have those groups accessible to quickly access customers or the leads in Arkansas that they're getting ready to go visit, right? So all those groups are important. And then not utilizing the dashboards or learning more about them. I'll give you a sneak peek at the 8.5. There is some really cool updates coming to the dashboards. So, but even if you're not in one of the latest versions, get comfortable with using the web dashboards because they can really help you get a quick snapshot of your groups and data in the CRM. All right. And controlling data input with settings on pick lists. So there's certain fields in the CRM that maybe you want someone to be able to type an answer into, or maybe it's a multi-select, or maybe it's a field that you never want them to forget to fill in. So you can put settings on those fields that say, okay, you can't create a new contact unless you put in the following, or you can't select just the type without assigning the subtype also, or selecting an industry. So thinking about what is most important in your process and your company, and thinking about those fields in the CRM, and Terry can show more of that too when we hop over to the CRM. All right, so here are some common tools and data information management. I'm just going to kind of open these up here, and Terry, if you want to, do you want to go through these or?
Yes. Yeah. So basically, I just wanted to, kind of touch on, we say do this and do that. Again, I wanted to make sure that you had a little bit of information more about how you can use the system in general to help you work in with these tools that we're trying to give you here. So am I going to share my screen?
Do you just want, can you see my slide?
Yes, I can see the slide.
Okay.
So basically, I wanted to show you how to lock down the pick list. So I'm going to show you a very quick view of how to do that and what it means. And then using the groups. So the groups are, very simply can be a real quick look into how's my data or how are my users using my data. So you can actually use the groups and the group filters as a without really getting into the heavy lifting, you can see real quickly, is my data the way I think it is, and can I use this data? So I'll show you how to work on that type of information. And then as well as that is also working with the groups in general. So yeah, I can create a group and I can say I want this group to only show me the accounts that have sales orders or accounts that have opportunities over a certain dollar value. So I can actually make these groups. But then part of the working in the data is also making sure that my system in general is efficient. And there is actually a groups management area that allows you to do two things. Work on your groups that maybe not be used anymore. So 3 years ago, we made a group and we haven't used it since. there's a group management area that will actually tell you when that group was created, who it's shared to, and if it's been used in the last X amount of time. So it's actually going to give you some information as maybe we can keep our system clean, and not have so many groups in there that we're not currently using. And then as well as working with the groups, you can also use the on the group level, about halfway through on the right hand side, you have a tool called Bulk Update. And this tool allows you to do some data cleanup. So not only can I find some issues that I might need to clean up in my data, I can also use this tool to do that cleanup. So that is a good one I want to show you. And then, how to do some lookups, managing your data. So earlier in the conversation, we were talking about, when a user logs in and they see 30,000 accounts, they're never going to touch 30,000 accounts. So some of those accounts will be obsolete. They may not be in business anymore. How do you manage that information? So I'm going to show you how you can actually take those out of the user's view so that they no longer have to see that and have to feel like they have to put their arms around it. So that is another one. And then, so that's kind of the hit list I want to go over in the demo environment here and give you some tools.
Perfect. All right. So before I switch over to giving you the screen, I just want to quickly show everybody a sneak peek from 8.5. I'm not going to go into too much detail or explaining this. We will have a webinar on it next month. I will send this out for you to read through in more detail and share with your IT team on what this means. But this is going to be really big for everyone going forward when you have a lot of customizations, being able to much more efficiently bring those forward with future updates. So that's a big thing. So make sure to read through this slide and pass on to your IT team. And then I just wanted to give a kind of quick overview of some of the top features. Like I mentioned, the new dashboards, they came up with some new widgets. The widgets are easily customizable as far as size, so you can adjust them to fit the screen. When you minimize or widen the screen, they auto fit with it. It's great. They also let you compare data, so you can compare opportunities versus sales orders in that month, etc. So there's a lot more ways to slice up the data. So some really great features coming there. They're expanding on the workflows. So 8.4.04 brought you the CRM built-in workflows that you can build from the admin menu within the web client. They're really great. I have some videos on it on our YouTube channel if you want to check that out. And what they've done in 8.5 is they've actually brought on an approval process built into those workflows now. So now not only can you alert a sales team of an opportunity that's getting ready to expire, you can now even set an approval process within that workflow too. So some great features coming up. So again, I will get that date out of that webinar as soon as we set it. We're just waiting for the official rollout of it. It's supposed to be the end of February. So stay tuned on that. All right, Terry, I am gonna let you share your screen now. Turn off mine and I'll let you go ahead.
All right, let's see here. Apologize, I'm trying to, all I see is webcam.
Let me see. There should be a little icon that looks like a computer monitor.
Nope, all I can see is webcam. That's the only thing it's given me.
Yeah, let me see if I gotta do something here. All right, try now.
Haha, you hit it.
All right, there we go. Awesome. Teamwork.
Yeah.
All right, I can see your screen.
Okay, so you see the CRM, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so basically what I wanted to go over was kind of touch points on what we discussed or what Jessica discussed earlier. So the first thing I wanted to touch on was the leads qualifications. So right now what you're looking at is a lead screen, right? So here's my lead, here's all the information. I have my tabs down below for notes and history and activities. But up here in the top right-hand corner is the qualification that you see here. And right now it's set to none. There are some in the system by default, but you can add new ones. And it's a very simple process to do that. I'll show you what one looks like just out of the box. So basically it is a set of checkboxes. You define what those checkboxes are going to view. So you define the wording in here. So what do you consider an active lead? Or a qualified lead. But you can control these, and it also allows you to put in, so in this case they have a budget for purchase, and I can even put in the information, I can put in how much their budget is. So it allows you to set up that they can have a note area. So once they've filled in all the requirements for that you consider, and you can have up to 6 or 7. So once you've put your requirements in and your salesperson has filled that in, that's when they're going to do that convert to qualified lead here in the middle. And that's when they start to utilize that deduplication process that already sets and looks for, is this already in the system? So it looks at the lead, it looks at the lead company name, it even can look at the address and email information, and it looks to see if it's already in there. If it is in there, then it gives you the opportunity to merge. So I can take the information I've gathered on this one, and it'll actually merge it into the current account and contact if it's already a duplicate in the system. So it keeps you from adding a brand new one when you've already got one in the system. So that is where that lead qualification shows up on the lead. In general, as an administrator, so you want to log in as admin or a person with admin rights, over here on your left navigation under administration, that's where you'll see qualifications. So here's qualifications. That's where you're building this. It's basically just a set of entries. So I can put in what I want my wording to say, and if I want a note field, it's that simple. So over here on the left-hand side, qualifications, I can create a new one, or I can even edit a current one. So I can look at those notifications and make changes to them, and then I will then have a qualification process for my leads. That's a how-to. The other item that we touched on, and some people don't really understand where lead sources are. So on a lead source is here in the middle of the screen, and you'll notice it's just a lookup. So basically, when I put in a new lead, I can generate that this lead came from a trade show I went to, or it could be a mailing that we sent out, and it was a response to that mailing. I can actually add the lead and say that it came from that lead source, but how do I manage lead sources? So lead sources are, again, a little different. If you look over here on the left navigation again, under administration, you'll see lead sources. So it is right here where I can edit the current ones in the system. I can also right click, add new. So you can create your own lead sources specific to a year, specific to a certain trade show and year. You can document this for your lead sources in the best way you need to. Just remember that lead sources should never be deleted. They're basically marked active and inactive. An inactive lead will not show when a user goes to do a lookup, right? So that's how you can manage your lead sources. That's another great way of helping you define your data. And then moving away from leads, we were talking about the accounts, contacts, and that type of information. So if I navigate to accounts, one of the things that we were talking about was the ability to put two accounts together and say they're associated, right? There's two ways of doing that. The first way is through a parent-child, meaning if you think of a school system, you have the school district that's at the top, and then you might have 2 high schools and 3 middle schools and 4 elementary schools, but they're all listed as parent-child, right? So the school district is the parent, and the schools themselves are the child. So you'll notice here in this, and this is the account view, and on the parent account, you'll notice this link. So what this is saying is that Abbott Industrial is a child of AD Foods. So AD Foods is a corporate account, and you can even nest them. So I can have one parent, a child, and then that child can actually be a parent. So you can scale this down to whatever you need to. What this does then is it links them. So I've got these 2 accounts linked, and if you look over here on your top right-hand light blue bar here, you're going to see an icon. Your icon might be a little bit different depending on your version, but it's a view parent-child. So I can click on this, and it's going to give me a form that shows me my connections, right? So I can have this main account, corporate account, can have multiple divisions, multiple child accounts. So they might have a warehouse in Indiana, and they might have a factory in Florida. So you can list all those locations here and link them with that parent link. And then over here on the right-hand side, I can actually say that for this main account and all their children, what's the totals that they've done business with us, right? So as a whole, there's this cascade totals, and I can actually click this and I can see as a whole, they have $1 million, almost 2 million in open opportunities. We have 2.7 million. And if I can see my sales orders. So I can see there's 2 sales orders. And if you look down here on this middle blue bar, you'll see sales orders. I can actually see which account has a sales order, and you'll notice they're hyperlinks. I can navigate to them. So what I've done basically is I've pulled my two accounts together in this case, and I can see how they're doing as a whole. So that is the parent-child relationship, but there's also the capability of what they call associations. So you may have an account, and you may work with dealerships. So if you work with dealers or an in-between concept, then you may need to know that here's my end customer, but they're buying through this dealer I have a relationship with. That would be considered an association. So more than likely in your account level, it's probably going to be living under more tabs, but you can pull it up into your blue bar here if it's not there. But you'll see down here in this list associations. Now I can pull this up so then it shows in my blue bar, but I can use it while it's in the more tabs also. So if you don't see associations in your blue tab, it's going to be in more tabs. But basically what this does is allows you to connect this Abbott Industrial to, in this case, 2 other accounts. One is their reseller and one is the distributor. So I can actually say that this account is associated with Back William Inc. And they're a reseller. So I'm going to edit this one just to give you a quick view. So you can see Abbott Industrial is a client of Back William, and they're a reseller, right? So if I want to add this, you'll notice on this blue bar on the associations tab, a plus. And this is where I say how this relationship is. So maybe with these 2, Abbott is a client, but maybe Abbott's also the opposite direction. Maybe Abbott is a provider to somebody else. So you'll notice that they can be a vendor to a different account. So Abbott is a vendor for another account, and I can just do a search. So I can type in an account name, or I can do a straight lookup. So I can say that they also work with this Burke Drill Company, and Burke Drill Company is their client, right? So Abbott's the vendor, Burke is the client, and I can then set up another relationship. So you can have multiple relationships, and but you can build that connection to see who they're working with. So that's a great way of working with your data. And then some of the other things we were talking about is groups. So groups is the big one I wanted to touch on, make sure we got through before the end of the webinar. So on groups, everybody talks about using groups. Yeah, I can see my data, I can get information, I can set up some, conditions on my group, and I can see all my active accounts, all my inactive accounts. But some of the other things that really becomes helpful is using these filters over here on the right, not just to slice and dice the data, but to see how your data is. For example, if I'm looking at my all accounts group, and this is available on every level, if I open my all accounts group, I can see right away, just looking at this filter, I can see the data. So this is what's in the database, right? So I can see down here at the bottom, I actually have an account that has a country in my state field. That's not recommended, right? I have Middlesex. Now I think Middlesex is a city, right? So that shouldn't be there. So Puerto Rico, that's not, well, it's kind of a state, but you can see just by looking at my filter, I can actually see how my data is doing. So utilizing the filters really helps you define gaps, right? So I go into the type filter, I can see that I've got null, right? So I need to fill those out. Those need to have some data in them. I also have new one, so that's not a legitimate item. So type is a pick list, and this is one of the things we were talking about, is being able to lock down your pick list. So I want to make sure that what is going into the important fields is data that I can use. Locking down your pick list means a user cannot put in a new one and leave it. So I typed in information. This pick list is locked down because if I put something in here and tab out of it, it doesn't save it. So what this is saying is a user has to choose something from the list that you've created. And that is under administration. You'll see pick list down here. That's where you would control pick list settings. Get with us if you want to know all the ins and outs of that. But that's where you can control the information coming into your pick list and your fields. So in using these, I can also determine the teams. So visibility to the system or to each record is all driven by that owner field on the account. So if I have multiple teams in my system, if I have an account that is owned by the EMEA team and I am not in the EMEA team, I will not see that account. I can't do a search for it. I can't see it in groups. I will not find that account. Now, where this becomes useful is that purge or data, inactive data, things you want to get out of the system, what you can do is create a team that is, call it obsolete or call it invisible, call it whatever you want to. And then when you change that account to that team, if somebody is not in that team, they're not going to see it. What you've done is actively filtered their all accounts group so they no longer see those accounts, so they don't have to deal with them. So that's one way of taking those accounts that you want to consider purging or just making historical, so they're not used by anything because business closed or whatever reason. You can do that just by aligning those with that hidden team. Basically, it takes it out of their view. So that's also what you can use with segmenting data for users view in general. So if you want people to only see their certain silos of data, if they're not a member of somebody else's team, they're not going to see those accounts, but the other person will see their own accounts because they're a member of that team. So you can actually change the view of the accounts just by that team ownership. So that's a good way of using teams in general to clean up your data, or at least move it away from the user's view so they no longer have to deal with it. So that is some of the ways you can utilize the team view. I can also do it to look and make sure that like in this owner, I have a user, I got a couple users that are in the owner field. You don't want that. You want the owner field to always be a team. So you want to make sure that even if it's the everyone team, you want it to not be a person, because only Barbara will be able to see that account or those 7 accounts, or Lee will only be able to see that 1 account, because the owner field drives visibility to all records in the system. So that is some of the quick things. Jess, we're kind of hitting our 45. Do I
Yeah,
keep going? Or?
Well, I'll say let's open it up to some questions and see if anyone does anyone want to come off mute and ask anything? Feel free to raise your hand now, or if you want to send anything you want to see maybe, or even if it's something we haven't covered, I can take you off mute. Right. Well, that was a lot of good information. Again, this was all recorded. I won't take up, I promised I'd do 45 minutes and I went over. That's okay. We got a lot of good info. I will send a follow-up that will have our information. Thank you, Terry, so much for all the information you showed as well. And I will have Brandon's information in there if anyone's interested in learning more about software financing. And again, the slide deck and the recording will be in the follow-up. Last check on questions. I don't see anybody raising their hand either. All right, well, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to sign up for more of our webinars. Check our website for what's coming up, and we'll see you all soon. See you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, Terry.